Sound check, sound check. Everybody hears me? Yeah, great. So the first thing, well, welcome everybody from CoinsPaid again. Thank you for coming. For those of you whose second day here, it was an amazing day yesterday. Just want to quickly sort out, for those of you who say MiCA versus MiCA, maybe it's time to decide on the majority vote, how we're going to say it for the rest. So who is in favor of MiCA? Oh,
MiCA. MiCA is a sleeveless shirt in Estonia.
All right, it's MiCA. Unanimously decided it's MiCA.
So we don't have anything else to discuss, right?
I guess it's a wrap. Thank you very much for coming. Okay. But yeah, honestly, thanks. So we'll just continue talking about the regulation, MiCA, and how it's impacting the fintech and service providers. So yeah, just have an amazing panel with me today. So the first question, I'll just dive in right into it. How are we preparing for MiCA? Or in your case, Raida, how your members preparing for MiCA?
You mean in Estonia? Estonian members are kind of really scared. As you know, Estonian current AML Act puts kind of MiCA regulation already in place for the market participants. And what Thomas showed us on the slide, I would even say that actually auditing is already in place, a little bit differently, of course, but many very important points are already enforced in Estonia. And to be compliant with those new regulations and new rules of AML Act, our market participants, they needed to basically reapply for the license. It was complying with the new rules, but actually it came out like reapplying. Thanks to this process, I think we can say, and I think post-MiCAR will agree with me, that today we have completely different market than, for example, a year ago, when we had 185 WASPs in the market. Today we have, I remember when we were in the millions, number was 83, but probably some companies will fall out more. So certain thing to say is that we have less than 100 companies still in the market who have managed to go through the very thorough procedure with FIU. And those who are still in the market, at least I think we can all say that they have what it takes to comply. If they are complying in services, internal matter, we don't know yet, because FIU is only starting now to proceed with their supervisory processes. So those companies, actually, they have tried very hard, and it means they really want to stay in Estonia. But reading Estonian version or Estonian Implementation Act, CRÜTS, then it seems that this is already taken political decision that today's licenses will be cancelled the latest the 1st of July 26. This is latest, actually in CRÜTS is 25th. And the new regulatory body or authority will be FSA. And FSA in Estonia, they have two things, very important things about them. They don't accept any other licenses what they have been issuing themselves. So Chief of FSA, Kilvar Kessler, has said directly that if we have to take them over from FIU, then they have to apply for the license from us. So you can imagine how does it sound for our market participants who just have finished applying for the license. So I think this is a big issue for them, and we hope maybe there is some kind of negotiating points yet. We don't know. We will continue our discussions. We have made our comments to CRÜTS already, and I think in December we will continue with that. And the other part is that Estonian FSA is financed by the market participants. What means that if Estonian crypto companies go under FSA, So I think they will lose some kind of competitive edge because they have to pay something maybe other European crypto companies doesn't have to pay, which is surveillance service fee, let's say. So those two things might be complicated, but of course we can't forget that Estonia has a digital edge. So I think that those companies who are still in Estonia, they are doing it in purpose because Estonia has some maybe better digital environment and communicating with authorities, and we all love it and we are so used to it that sometimes we forget that other countries maybe are not in the same level and still using fax machine.
Let me gently bring you in so we don't get off track. So preparation for the MiCA, the regulator part, is very important. Thank you for bringing it up. You know that we're going to have this big change. About the fear, I testify. We've been on that side. So my colleague and myself, we spent an intense last year, but we're very thankful for the high bar, I would say. So now we actually, I would say, feel pretty confident that we can do it. It's been quite a few intense weeks, but yeah, maybe Valentina, you can share how we are preparing for the MiCA.
Yeah, of course. Thanks to the FIU and updated Estonian regulations, we are preparing for a MiCA for a while. In process of renewing our license in Estonia, we already updated the list of policies, integrated a list of processes, and update our product from different perspectives. And I think it's helped us to be compliant under MiCAR. And we also in parallel observing processes for passportization in different countries to be ready to start these processes after receiving MiCA approvals. It's very important for us because it allows us to strengthen company here in Estonia instead of opening a list of new ones to a list of new companies among the Europe to receive a list of different licenses. Instead of this, we can just invest in AML safety strategies and just make stronger our main company here in Estonia.
Yeah. Anybody else wants to share about the preparation part earlier? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'll share my point of view from the FinTech Association in Lithuania, which gathers licensed financial institution, licensed FinTech, so electronic money institution, payment institution, and specialized bank. And these guys are trying to consider what is going to happen and how they could leverage the opportunities, but also deal with the risk coming through MiCA. We were just discussing before the panel, and I've been discussing with a lot of our members. So these guys, this payment institution, electronic money institution, and specialized bank, and there is a lot of wait and see because although we do have a lot more clarity as to the regulatory framework and even more importantly, I would say the supervisory structure in Lithuania. We now know how things are going to be divided between the FIU, between the Bank of Lithuania. We got a bit of an hybrid structure in Lithuania. So that is getting clearer. We still don't have all the details of the licensing, the relicensing, the application for new activities, and that makes licensed financial institution very much more in an observing position than in a proactive position. Practically speaking, if you are an electronic money institution in Lithuania at the moment, you know that you have new revenue stream, business opportunity to the possibility of offering crypto-related services to your clients under the MiCA roof. But as to what is going to happen, how it's going to work, what kind of application should you go for with the Bank of Lithuania, because they will be covering that. This is still very unclear. And I guess everybody really waits and see. And this will very much depend on who pioneers and who has the courage of going first. To basically set the standards for what is going to happen further. But at the moment, it's a lot of observation. So everybody's looking at each other, not really knowing how or when to move.
Okay. You actually touched a very interesting point about the risks. And I was thinking, because my next question was about the new risks that you see might come, we have to consider for the CASPs. And maybe, Darius, you want to share on the Sorry, Mika.
Okay, sure, I can
And the
share on
rest,
both. On the T-shirt as well.
Talk about the T-shirt.
Okay, so like when it comes to risks, it's not an easy question because like market participants are different. So I cannot like give you an answer that covers all the market participants and all the cases. What I'm familiar the most with is the company that has been running for a while, that has engaged in business, has these operations rolling, and then which faces new regulation that is going to come in place. So with all things in business, the biggest enemy is uncertainty. So what MiCA provides is certainty to some extent. So when you say risks, at least now you know what kind of risks in terms of running a business you face. So of course a risk of incompliance is a risk. It's actually what gets into your internal audit reports and so on and so on. So this is one of the risks that you as a company consider. So the risk of incompliance gets a bit clearer. But then again, if you take a look at MiCA, I know this is an event about MiCA, and over previous panels we were hyped, we were praising that it is coming and so on. But in essence, it doesn't change really much. It's just a point in time when a specific specialized regulatory regime falls under a certain industry. Like if you take a look at banking, like hundreds of years ago, it was also unlicensed. Wanted to be a bank, be a bank. Wanted to set up a bakery, it was the same. So it's just a point in time, and it doesn't change a lot for companies that has been operating and that has been serious, that have been serious about what they do. So for example, these companies that got relicensed here in Estonia, I think that they won't have trouble with complying with MiCA, even though, as it was mentioned by Estonian FIU in the previous panel, there's going to be a lot of chaos. It's inevitable. We have to just set our minds that this is going to be like that. But the companies that are serious about that, they won't face a lot of problems. And my understanding is that this is because they already consider those things that MiCA wants you to consider. So basically the protection of your customers, being transparent, safeguarding funds, being resilient, and so on and so on. So having the governance structure and everything. Just to share like a very practical example that's from our group of companies, because Bankera, of course, it's an EMI. So up until even today, we are still not allowed to touch crypto directly because of the position of the Bank of Lithuania. This is, of course, about to change with MiCA, but still, because of that, we have two companies set up. One company is for crypto, one for conventional financial services. And Bank of Lithuania actually asked us, like all of the market participants, are you planning to engage with crypto services when the MiCA comes into effect? Our answer was no. But it was no because there was still too much uncertainty surrounding what's available, and we still hadn't had enough time to understand what this change means for us. But as time passes, we are slowly leaning to maybe we should consolidate all the companies under one roof, because in terms of operational efficiency, you only have to do one internal audit, you only have to hire one external auditor, and so on and so on. So a lot of double work goes away. So yeah, it's a very wide topic, these risks, and maybe I'll leave it at that, because I see the clock is ticking, and I would happily see it running.
Don't worry about it. Yeah. No, thank you for bringing up. I actually also wanted about the risks, and I didn't think that it would come from FIU, the risk, and how you emphasize the importance of the potentially loss of revenue for providers. And I think with the framework that we are establishing at MiCA here for the EU market, also the shocking number that you mentioned, I think it's great to set an example for the rest of the world in terms of regulation. But yeah, I would say that we really need to focus in so much on compliance. You know, we constantly have a conversation with our CEO Max asking me how can we make it less strict, and I say, you know, I don't think there's going to be any possibility in the future, so it's only going to get worse and worse in terms of, you know, rigidity. But yeah, so Carly, maybe you want to share how, you know, maybe some risks that you see for the Binance. You work with B2C, will like competition.
Yes, well, I would like to point out in general for the caps, the third-party risk. For example, when they rely on the third parties in custody or settlements, so if they fail, so it can be financial and also reputational damages also for the CASP. So I think this is also one of the new risks in this area.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to share on the risk part? It's actually quite interesting. Maybe, Raida, you have a few words about risks that you see with MiCA?
If you read MiCA, then it focuses mostly risks what we used to have in 2017 and 18 when we had this ICO boom. And my opinion is that actually now we finished the law what we needed then. So now we're trying to change history, which sadly is impossible. But when I read this risk part of MiCA, it's completely understandable because we all know that if we open the CoinMarketCap and we see there are like still maybe 10,000 coins left, most of them are, I don't want to say the name, but the coins, you know what kind of coins they are. So for that part, I think everything will be much better and clearer because at least you can't issue investment instrument in a cryptographical way or in blockchain, in decentralized ledger, if you are not providing necessary information. And those rules are now very, very similar to everybody. So I think that those who are trying to scam people, they are going to other jurisdictions, and this is only good for European market. So this part for sure will be equalized, and probably we will see less actors acting from Europe who are scamming people. But scammers are not going anywhere. They may even stay here, but they just do it. Usually they don't even need anything else but just a shell company. But maybe knowledge of or understanding of European people that if company doesn't really have license, which is like first thing I've said always to everybody, that if you are trying to, or willing to invest in some kind of company, first thing, see if they have any kind of license. Sometimes, okay, many companies doesn't have it, but first, if they have company at all, because beautiful name or trademark what they are using, it's not anything you can rely on or held responsible later. So in Europe, it's impossible and to issue coins anymore without being established by the law. And I hope that we can deliver this knowledge to the general crowd so that if someone is offering them to the moon trip with the 1,000 euros, then maybe they will fall less into those traps.
Okay,
thank you. Valentina, maybe you can share.
Talking about jurisdictions, I would also add the risks from MiCA that it's very connected to jurisdiction where a company worked before. Because working with light regulation, light requirements, it also means that some companies already have a portfolio of clients which was checked according to light regulations. And be compliant with MiCA, it's not only mean for such companies just to create new policies. It also means to change the product sometimes. It also means that they have to review all existing clients and reject maybe a huge of them. And it also may cause risks by companies choose to migrate to some other jurisdictions. So it's just about risks for some jurisdictions and opportunity for companies who already were applied with some strict regulations and invest in IML, CFT requirements before.
This,
If I may add on that, sorry.
This is very, very understandable that some companies who are already onboarded and now by new regulations are not suitable, they are going away at least for a while if they are not willing to provide documents about themselves. We had the situation in 2018 when in Swapin I enforced KYC from zero to for each customer doing at least any transactions. And we lost 60% of customers because this time nobody wanted to comply.
But they were bad customers.
But interestingly enough, most of them returned during next 3 months. So I think risk losing customers is there, but if you are providing good customer experience, then they will come back, even if they are companies or if you are providing services to companies.
Yeah.
If they need you, they have to comply. Otherwise, you are risking with your license. So this is understandable.
Yeah, but new license also will mean that it creates a lot more trust, and it also means that companies may receive low-risk customers instead of high-risk.
Yes.
That's a great point that you brought, right? That that we can focus on compliance and comply with regulation, but the customer service is something that actually dealing with the customer and raising that, investing and improving that part of the business, very important as well. So you kind of bring up your game not only in terms of compliance, but also be ready to sort of battle with the competition because. Yeah, we're going to talk about competition at the very end, but I wanted to ask about the effect of MiCAR on consumer protection, and I wanted to actually specifically direct the question to Carolina because you work with B2C, so you probably have some good insights on how it might affect.
Thank you. Well, consumer protection is actually cornerstone of any entity, and its importance magnifies in hours given the complex and often misunderstood nature of cryptocurrencies. So firstly, MiCAR aims to ensure transparency. It mandates service providers to disclose significant, easily comprehensible information about their products and services. So this enhanced transparency seeks to equip consumers with essential information and for well-informed decisions. So additionally, safeguards against market abuse provides a second line of defense. For example, requirements such as market surveillance and transparent pricing reduce the possibility of manipulative behavior that can be harmful. So, and additionally, capital requirements for pose also a significant impact in this case by necessitating service providers to maintain a specific level of initial capital. I would say that MiCAR bolsters the provider's resilience. So ensuring they can uphold commitments provided to the consumers and also offering a more secure platform. And then comes the focus on improved accountability. In the event of dispute, MiCAR lays out clear, streamlined procedures, and this clarity ensures the fair competition and fair treatment of consumers, along with swift and effective conflict resolutions. So also with data protection and privacy issues, MiCAR compels to execute strong measures to shield consumers' data, further minimizing cyber threats and enhancing user conflict confidence in crypto transactions. But in conclusion, I would say MiCAR goes to great length to boost the safety net of the customers.
Enhance the experience of the end user, yeah, in terms of security, safety. Yeah, I completely agree. We can definitely see that. We have some of the transactions that are coming actually from your platform to our, and we definitely can't disclose too much details, but there's some safety features that you already have in place, and yeah, we see how it's all going to be evolving, so we kind of learn from you as well, without you probably knowing that. But Darius, maybe you have some thoughts on consumer protection, because
just a few. So of course, some of the things that consumers could expect from their service provider will get institutionalized, so to say. So you cannot not provide something that is, clearly laid out in MiCA. But it doesn't mean that, some of those things didn't exist yesterday or even earlier. So it really depends on, yet again, on a specific provider. So, for example, in our case, because we also alongside run a conventional finance business, some of our, just because we are trying to be as efficient as possible, we share like internal procedures, documentation, and things like that, just to not avoid double work. For example, if you are trying to set up a risk control procedure or a complaints management procedure, if you have it, because the legal regulation is already there for an EMI, if you have it already in place for an EMI, you try to copy it and do the necessary amendments, of course, and have it for your crypto business. So of course, when MiCA comes, you have to look and see, what exact changes has to be made to that, because when you copied that over, you never had MiCA in mind. So it really is a nice enhancement from that point of view, that it levels the playing field. So for example, right now we had our business already having that in place. Now everyone will have to have that in place, so everyone will have to incur the same cost that is associated with having, like a complaints management policy and everything, whereas previously you could just cut costs there and not have anything and approach that ad hoc, and of course provide your customers with less protection as a consequence.
Right. You brought up, and you also said that, so kind of underline, the disputes and the complaint management, something that's coming that wasn't there before or was not to the level that it will be. I think, yeah, it will definitely bring a lot of comfort for the end users, on the market with this. So just, yeah, wanted to stress that. Any more thoughts on consumer protection, Raito, Alex?
Not specifically on consumer protection, although I think these are definitely a great set of measures, which I believe will encourage people that haven't looked into it yet to go and try and feel more confident, but maybe slightly more on the risk aspect. And I think one of the main risks, first at the macro level, is the risk of is the risking precisely, and we've approached it briefly before. History repeats, and the same cycle as we've seen with fintechs about 6 to 7 years ago, when it comes to their capacity to access to segregated accounts within bank and other financial institutions, repeats nowadays with crypto companies. There is this labeling and tagging from many traditional financial institutions as to the fact that if you touch crypto, whether or not you have a strong internal framework control in place, you're bad or you're extremely risky. And I think we should be very, very careful with that, because we're not mitigating the risk by putting aside crypto, by labeling it as high risk de facto. We're just moving it further away. And particularly when it comes to anti-financial crime, but that's true for risk management in general, we are only as strong as the weakest link in the chain. So practically speaking, what I mean here is that MiCA is a regulation, so that's different than a directive in the fact that the application of the regulation has less leeway from a jurisdiction to another. We expect everybody to implement it more or less the same way, although we've seen that there might be some differences. But we have to be careful as to the consistency of the MiCA application across Europe, and more importantly, the enforcement of the application. Because I'm sure we'll be speaking about it in a few months. If in a few months we realize that in a given jurisdiction in Europe, it's much cooler, it's much laxer in terms of enforcement, we know what will happen. The same will happen as what happened with FinTech and still is happening with FinTech. We will have some enforcement paradise where although you will have strong regulatory framework, you will have little to no enforcement. Everybody will go there, and since there is a passporting, well, you will be able to do business with these guys. And again, we'll have the same problem. So I very much agree with what Madis mentioned. More than the regulatory framework, with the fact of being extremely comprehensive and trying to tackle every risk that could and will exist, we need to be strong on the enforcement. We need to be sure that we enforce the measure that actually considered within MiCA the way they are, and not just to have a strong regulatory framework. If you take the example of sanction nowadays, and I encourage you to look at it all in Europe, if you look at the number of people which are in jail because of sanction breach at the moment in Europe, well, then you realize who has and who doesn't have a strong regulatory framework and enforcement action in Europe. My point is, again, you may have a very strong regulatory framework. If there is no strong enforcement, it doesn't work. And with MiCA, we have to be we have to make sure that this happens this way if we don't want to see this jurisdiction hopping happening more and more. So.
And what Alexander says, based on this, we can say that welcome to Estonia. We will have very strong framework, and I can assure you that our authorities will really look after enforcing those. So if you are here, if there will be some kind of competition between the member states, that maybe some places are like paradise, basically the same law, but this is like traffic police measures your speed. I don't want to go after you. This is only 20 kilometers over.
But it's a very good point, because you see now, even for electronic money institution licenses, we now all know, I mean, if you're in the crypto or in the fintech space, when you look at a company, one of your provider, of your partner, you look at where they got their license. And depending on where they got your license, you will say, maybe these guys will be a bit more careful. So we know that it happens this way, and in my opinion, we will see that it happens this way. So we have to make sure that we have consistency, not only on the regulatory framework, but on the enforcement as well. And to me, that is extremely important indeed. And I agree with you, Estonia will have an asset in this regard.
And I know from the couloirs that Binance has actually approached to some regulator and saying that do it faster, do it stronger, because if we have license from you, and some 500 other companies are also here doing who knows what, then they will give us bad reputation. So this is coming like circling back that in the basement we should have strong regulation, but I think that it's very important that our regulators they will have very strong weapon. Actually, there are so many things in MiCA they can use to kill you. So with big power comes big responsibility. It means that if those companies who are at the moment in the market and you see that they are trying to comply, then help them. Because we all know that there are so many adverse environmental effect information and so many things you have to obey already if you comply with the license, that if you start to demand it from the day one, then you can kill each company on the market. So we hope that as this is very new, MiCA is not ideal act anyway. So as they are thinking about MiCA 2 already, this is because that many things are not as they're supposed to be, but at least we have something now. So I hope that our authorities, they can be strict, but they have to be fair.
Okay, thanks very much for sharing it. So let's fast forward and let's assume where MiCA is enforced already. So what will happen with the competition, in your opinion? Will it grow? Will it diminish? Like, how will that situation evolve? Maybe Darius, you can comment on the competition part.
Oh yeah, that's well, because of my background in academia, I used to give lectures on advanced macro, so competition hits me from a different perspective than what we usually think when we talk about it. So people always, when we're discussing MiCA, we're always saying, finally we have this fertile ground for innovation. Innovation is actually one of the selling points that European Commission mentions when they talk about MiCA. Well, come on, I was like teaching people economics, and I'm having a hard time to understand how increasing barriers of entry increases competition. That's like textbook example of how you reduce competition. That's textbook example how you push the industry towards not monopoly, like in extreme cases it can be like a monopoly, like when you have like a state license for like, I don't know, distilling alcohol and that's it, no one else can do it. But you see where I'm getting to, right? So any licensing, any regulation increases barriers of entry. So basically, if you, of course, it cleans up the scams as well. Nothing is perfect. Some always find a way to squeeze through. That's why we cannot, just sleep. We have authorities in place that monitor, supervise, and so on. But like at the very, very fundamental level, it reduces competition. So basically, if you're an insider, if you have a crypto business running with hundreds of staff already, out of which also hundreds work in legal and compliance, you're in a very good position. You're suddenly an insider. You have staff that are capable, that have some in-house knowledge and know how to operate in that industry. And then all the others that want to compete with you but want to come into that market, they have nothing. And they are facing, because you've been doing this for a while, you've probably been complying with something. Something in the MiCA probably, took a best practice from the market, and you're probably part of that best practice, so you're already in a place to do that. For the rest, it's, they have to start doing that. And there's a lot of things that are not visible from the outside. It might seem that, this company, when they do their KYC, they do this. But what's happening in the background is not visible, and that's where the IP assets of any company lie, which is not visible to your competition, because you cannot protect only what cannot be replicated easily, such as, like also a classical example from the field of economics, the recipe of Coca-Cola. Yeah, you have to disclose what's in that drink, like, the ingredients, but no one can just replicate a perfect copy of Coca-Cola to this day. If you drink Pepsi, it's slightly different. If you drink something off the shelf, it's slightly different. So it's the same. It will definitely reduce competition. And also, the innovation is also mentioned. Any reduction to competition always leads in a slowdown of innovating, because you don't have the pressure to compete in terms of being more innovative and more accessible and so on and so on. It actually allows you to just exploit your market power because it becomes stronger because of reduced competition. So I'm not just trying to predict a doomsday scenario. I took it to the extreme with my examples. Of course, it doesn't mean that the innovation is going to stop. Innovation is still happening in the conventional financial market, and it is very heavily regulated with enormous barriers of entry. Like, for example, to be a bank, you need a lot of capital, a lot of know-how, and even like a lot of luck. So, yeah. So innovation is still going to happen. But it will slow.
Yeah, we have literally a couple minutes that I wanted to maybe talk questions from the
just
audience.
Very fast, I would say that if we would have MiCA in 2018, Max can say they started CoinsPaid in garage, in the basement. If MiCA would be there for this time, probably to start, for example, licensing everything, so we wouldn't be sitting here today.
Exactly.
So that's exactly illustrating what you're saying.
That's a great point. Thanks for sort of underlining. But yeah, do we have questions from the audience? Maybe somebody wants to. something.
Yeah, just to address the basement issue. Basically, this is what the companies in US had already, right, in 18 or in 19, right? It was already not easy to start the business, right? So yeah, like weak regulation really helps everyone to do the innovation, right? Of course, you have to control when these businesses grow, right, to protect the customer. But I wanted to ask a different thing. We all speak that the MiCA will have a lot of the barriers for new entries, but also a lot of the costs for the existing players on the market, right? Of course, there would be a bit increase of the fees potentially, right, to sustain the revenues and so on. But if MiCA really works, then this would be fair for all of the participants of the market, right? So do you feel that this would be really a harmony across the industry, and would regulators in every, or more like intelligence units, right, or enforcement really control that no one can operate in the European market without those licenses, because then it will make market really much uncompetitive?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, as if we consider that we are this globe or orb, so if we are starting to enforce regulation in Europe and there are Dubai officially saying that they are now the forerunner of Web3, nobody actually probably knows that if you're opening company in Dubai, they say, but the bank account takes somewhere else, we don't give you. So if you want to relate with main market, anyway, you have to be somewhere where you are accepted. And in US, the new regulation which is coming up is completely not crypto friendly, and even more, we will not be able to provide service for US customers if we don't want to be controlled by US authorities. So there won't be any harmony anyway, because countries are competing with each other. At the moment, we are mostly talking about bad reputation and risks, what is coming with AML and everything. But we will pass this phase very soon. And then when crypto will come back, and if blockchain technologies are really used as they can be used for making world really more transparent and trustable, then I think we will see how the regulations also are going to change a little bit. We have a basement today, but countries will start to compete for those innovative companies, what will emerge, I think, in next 5 years.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. Thank you very much. It's going to be a very abrupt, short closing, you know, given instructions, which I follow precisely. Yep, thank you very much all for coming, and discussion will continue right outside at the coffee break. So yeah, thanks again, and please, round of applause for the speakers.